So this is the Exquisite Corpse that I made with Mean Median Moog, Mike Moger, and Mitch Lance. And the way that the game, and Mitch is going to show off the demo a little bit later on, but I just wanted to refresh everyone on the way this game is played. It's drawn from a surrealist practice where a piece of paper would be folded over and passed around, and different artists would complete different parts of the picture. And basically I took that idea and tried to come up with some ways to play it, or rules to play it for ZOIA, where each of us got about a third of the CPU, and we finished our section and we passed it on to the next person. So the way that this worked is that Mike got the first part, and he patched his section, and then he hid his pages by moving them from the first page to the 10th page. And he passed it on to me. I worked on the middle section, and I patched my parts. I created my own inputs and outputs because I didn't want to hear what Mike had done. The idea is to do this blindly. And I used those to monitor what I was creating. And then I hid my pages too. We've named them, but these used to be hidden further and further down the patch. So mine were hidden on the 20th page. So again, if you just opened up the patch and started patching, you wouldn't run across them. So it wouldn't influence what you did. And then Mitch had the last part. So he was responsible for the output. Mike was responsible for the input. We all agreed at the beginning that it would be a mono signal path to give us more CPU. And then as we were putting it together, there was some conversation about, everyone using a foot switch or having some other controls that would allow you to change the patch around and do different things with it. So, there was some negotiation during the process, and I think that's probably normal. That's something you'll encounter, but I think it worked pretty smoothly with each of us creating our own section. So again, Mitch is gonna demo the whole patch together, but the next part of this video is to show what each of us did individually. And the idea of these videos was to record them before we'd heard the whole patch together. So we were just talking about our parts in isolation. And so you can see the process building as we move from me, medium, Moog to me to Mitch. And so, yeah, check out what we did, and then check out Mitch showing off what all of it came together as. So I think this is a really cool game. It's a fun way to create sounds you would not create on your own. The patch that we came up with, I think, is pretty wild. So, watch and see how it was done. And I'm going to talk at the end again. So this is my section of the corpse. The audio, when it's coming in, gets split in two different directions. The dry signal, or it's not dry, it's whatever Mike's working on that I don't know about yet. But for my purposes of building the patch, it was dry. It gets split and goes to an audio balance on one side. And that audio balance is controlled by an LFO. So it's a triangle LFO. It's constantly going back and forth between the two channels. The other channel goes into a diffuser. The diffuser is mostly there to generate echoes in a sense of space. And then the output of that diffuser goes to 3 different delay lines set up as comb filters. And the times of these delay lines are very, very short. And the delay lines are fed back into each other almost to 100%. So they create resonators. And the delay times are randomly modulated. There's sort of a center frequency that each of them has that the randomness is set around. And then they go into a very heavy-handed compressor because the resonators will create resonances that can become quite loud. And even with the compressor, you still get some pretty loud resonances. And that goes into the other side of the audio balance. And the audio balance then goes into a state variable filter, a low-pass filter that is also modulated. So there's, all of these different filtering and phasing sort of effects that go on. And the comb filters create sort of drony, drone notes. And then if you press the middle stomp switch, everything goes to shit. And really what's happening there is that the delay lines are getting maxed out, and there's a bunch of, there's a little bit of RNG modulation that goes into them, but it's heavily, I keep thinking of attenuated. And when you press the stomp switch, that attenuation goes away. And so you're just left with pure RNG modulation, which creates all sorts of noises and flutters and nonsense. So that's my section of the corpse.
This is my contribution to the Exquisite Corpse game that I'm playing with Christopher and Mike, and I have no idea what those guys did, so since I was at the end I thought I'd add a reverb, except my reverb kind of freaks out occasionally. What I did was I switched between I have a switch that is switching between a reverb clean and then a granular that's being modulated and a reverb, and there's just an LFO that's causing those to switch between the two. And then I also have a couple different push buttons to change the options. I can, instead of an LFO to switch between the two effects, I can have a random. And also I have a chaos push button, which just makes it crazy. Did I hit it? Yeah. And that's the chaos push button. It's fun. But if you don't want it, since I don't know what they're doing, if they don't want to have like an insane effect at the end, you can just switch between this reverb and this kind of tremolo sounding granular effect. And that's what I've got, so I'm going to patch it together and see what it sounds like. Okay, we've got this patched together. I've mapped a couple parameters to the launch key, but let's try it out. actually pretty cool. I didn't expect it to, you know, sound like this. Let's try the stop switches. Left stop switch. Cool. Okay, let's try the middle stop switch. Kinda cool. And this, the chaos switches with this switch. Yeah, that's just the sound I'm looking for my alt country band. They love this. Okay, so that's probably the least usable part of this effect, but it's actually just kind of fun to mess with. I don't know. It's kind of fun. Slow down the green session. Get real weird. Open up pretty close to clipping there. It's cool. It's just kind of like a grumpy robot. Let's turn off the random. It's a bit much. That sounds like more of a usable kind of sound coming from it. I think you'd probably be limited to maybe ambient kind of stuff. I don't know what other genre you could really apply to, like, I don't know, maybe like a momentary effect. Anyway, it was cool. This is a really fun game to just kind of make something completely different than what you might normally make. So I hope you all decide to try to play it today if you have time. And thanks for watching this demo. Yeah, probably the best effect ever created on the ZOIA just from that game. I don't know, I think we'll probably sell this effect. You know, I don't know, what, $100 or something, because like this is a whole.
So now that you've seen what we've created together, you know, maybe try to find some other people to play this with. It wasn't hard for us to get this together. You know, we all got a couple of days to work on it. There wasn't a ton of pressure. But, you know, I mean, maybe if you're really inspired by this, you can find a couple of people right now and get a patch together while we're still celebrating ZOIA's birthday. I think it's a really cool way to collaborate with other patchers. I think it's a really interesting way to see how other people work and to be inspired by that. And you know, the results are fascinating. I'm not sure if I love this patch or hate this patch. I think I love it, but it's a very weird patch that creates a very weird sound that I don't think any one of us on our own would have generated. So there's a lot of beauty in that. There's a lot to take from that. You know, so I'm going to challenge all of you who are still watching to try to find some people to create your own exquisite corpses with. A sentence that can be taken out of context in all the wrong ways. But, you know, go out, patch, discover new things, come up with some cool ideas. There are some instructions on the Facebook group and on Reddit that I wrote up that sort of go through what the process might look like, but you know, negotiate with whoever you find who wants to play, and maybe you come up with your own rules or your own way of proceeding. But I think it was a lot of fun. I'm really glad I did it. It's something that I'd like to keep doing. So get out there and patch and make weird stuff.